This was probably, out of all the 156 chapters of Dr. Stone I've read so far, the most interesting by far. Back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Shinry. Here at the Everything Anime Podcast, I'm from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, every relevant topic we're talking about. Today's video is on Dr. Stone chapters 156, Never Meet Your Idols. And it's a very interesting title. I know I can be a little crafty sometimes. But, yes, we actually find out that Senku and Zeno have actually met each other before. They were basically pen pals, as well as mentor and student. So, let's get into that. Oh, before that, let me fix this. See my bright, ugly face better. So when the chapter opens up, we have a flashback to Senku and Taiju at 10 years old. We've seen them before interact, especially early on when Byakuya was inspired by Senku and seemed like he left his son, but he stole everything to get Senku a science equipment. And then, because he knew that Senku wanted to be a scientist, he wanted to inspire. Byakuya was the greatest parent ever. He really did everything for his stepson. Only because, and one reason another, because we know whoever Senku's father was, he left him with Byakuya. We don't know the reason why. That's why I think he's a Y man, because he created a synthetic version of Senku's voice. Again, don't know. Speculation, because I also had claimed that it could be Senku's doppelganger or twin brother, all that speculation, or cloned. So I have speculation right now that the Y man is Senku's father. Don't know for sure, but we know that Senku was adopted by Byakuya, who was given to him by his best friend. So we already knew that Senku was crazy smart at a young age, but I feel like Taiju, especially the way he explains stuff sometimes at his young age, Senku was talking like Albert Einstein at 10 years old. Literally, if you had asked me in I guess your fourth grade, what E equals MC squared means, I'd be like, what? Where Senku would be like, oh, it's this, and breaking it down to the basic molecule. Probably explaining away imaginary numbers. Remember when math brought in imaginary numbers? That was definitely elementary school. I was like, what the fuck is an imaginary number? And I was good at math in elementary school, but when we brought in imaginary numbers, that I symbol, you can't actually solve it because it's an imaginary number. So I was like, then why is it there? What? But Senku seems like he would understand that and break it down and all that. Anyway, Senku at 10 years old sent out massive emails to everyone around the world asking about science. And then eventually someone at NASA, they got a message among a bunch of other people. Senku was asking so all these kids actually in school were asking these questions about science projects. Just curious about space. Curious about space, curious about rockets, maybe aliens, UFOs. How maybe certain things in the world works. Obviously, kids inspired by science. And Senku was one of those kids. So, for example, one child asked, if space is black, why is the sky blue? And they thought that was cute. They're like, oh, that's adorable. We're going to explain to him about, the sunlight rays and how it, affects the way that we see colors in the sky and stuff like that. But when they get to Senku, now, I read the whole thing, and I was laughing myself to tears, because who the hell would expect a 10-year-old to talk like this? Again, don't expect me to read this whole thing, but yeah, even the way the author / manga artist wrote all this and drew it in there was just fucking incredible. It's the humor from Dr. Stone. I don't know what that was. Is there something? No, there's nothing. It's the humor that you expect from Dr. Stone, but also just more showing and not telling how smart Senku is. Showing Senku was way above his grade. Senku was in college at 10 years old, basically. The other scientists believed it was a prank, but Dr. Zeno took immediate interest in Senku. And cause he was he's y'all think this kid's bullshit. No, this kid is onto something. And I think specifically back then, Senku was asking at 10 years old, how to build a rocket. And Dr. Zeno was like, oh, I can explain this to this kid. Where the other scientists were like, oh no, there's no way this kid, he must is playing a prank on us. He must have Googled this or something like that. Which, if Senku is our age, let's say that, 10 years old, I don't think, no, the internet existed at 10 years old. Because we're from the age of technology. We grew up with the internet and stuff like that, AOL and all that. But still, that'd be a huge prank for a 10-year-old to play. Anyways, I also love that Senku was still like a kid in these days. Byakuya had thought Senku had come to see him, but Senku was like this even as a kid. Like at one point, Byakuya had thought Senku had come to see him and like, give him a hug. Instead, 10-year-old Senku was like, "Cop up the credit card, old man. I got shit to buy." And I swear I was dying laughing. Even his dad starts laughing, which I thought was hilarious. Again, it is the Dr. Stone humor. But again, you got to understand that Senku is... We rarely see Senku in these sentimental moments, in these moments where like he like shows like... Not compassion. It's not like Senku is void of emotion. But just like... Senku puts his emotions on the back burner because he's more curious. He needed that credit card to buy more things for his science project. Way different than like kids are now. Like kids these days are like demanding. Like they just expect you to hand things to them. Whereas like back then, I mean Senku again, he's given that personality, but Senku, especially after reading 156 chapters, Senku's not like that. And Byakuya knew that as well, because like again, Byakuya gave up everything to get Senku that science project so he can do this. Senku and Zeno stayed in contact throughout the years that he worked on stuff, but we already see that they are from two different worlds completely. Like the way Senku sees things, the way Zeno sees things are like two different ways. I'm going to explain that in a second. So Zeno wanted to rule the world of science over the masses that were too dumb and ignorant to understand it. He was like, I can basically become a dictator. Like, not many people are interested in science, and those that are, they're too dumb to, like, actually delve deeper into it. Like how, like, the NASA scientist thought Senku was playing a joke when he's asking literally, like, how you build a rocket. And Zeno was like, I see the potential in this kid. Whereas Senku, like any kid, he didn't care about world domination, he didn't care about controlling the masses. Senku just wanted to know what happens when you take something apart and how do you put it back together. He wants to know how it works. Senku wants all the intricate details. And I feel like that's literally kids, They don't care about, like, I mean, most kids don't care about, like, how a movie's made. But, like, a kid that's inspired by film, he wants to, like, how'd you do that VFX project? How do you do this? How do you do that? Or, like, a kid that, loves to eat or wants to be a chef, he might be like, how do you make that? Senku is that kind of kid. Whereas, like I said, most kids, like, if you're a kid inspiring to be a chef, you might watch your mom and dad, grandma bake something, be like, let me help you. If you're if you want to, what's another example? Be a sports coach or interested in sports, you might watch your dad and be like, Dad, explain that play to me. But Senku was like, no, I want to know how things are built, how you take them apart, and how you put them back together. How does it work? Again, just really cool. And it shows the main differences between Senku and Zeno. Zeno basically want to take over the world, be a dictator. He's like, I'm basically, Zeno's like, I'm the smartest man in the room. None of y'all can say anything to me. Shut the fuck up. Do what I say. Whereas Senku was like, I don't care about being the strongest man in the room. I just want to know how you do this. Build it, put it back together, and I can teach others. And Senku's been doing that. He taught others how to, rebuild humanity, starting with Ishigami Village. And it's just really cool because when you think about it like that, Senku's been doing that. He's been teaching all of them like how to, craft these things and build these things. Really, really love it. This even more proves that when Zeno is asked by Byakuya what would he do if the world was turned back into the Stone Age, Zeno outright says he'd be a dictator. He outright says it. And so I guess I got ahead of myself, but I wasn't looking at my notes at that part. But yeah, Byakuya also could tell that Zeno was like, I can't trust you. And this is at the time that Byakuya was going into space. Byakuya had trained to become an astronaut. He went out there with Lillian and the 4 other astronauts. And, he was about to go into space for the first time. We also then learned that Senku went around the world studying under all kinds of scientists, starting with Africa, where he ate a lion, a quote from early Dr. Stone. Because early in Dr. Stone, Senku said something about, like, he ate a lion before. And I thought it was like it's a one-off thing where, like, he was talking to Taiju. But no, we expand on that. Something that was said over 150 chapters ago comes back full circle. I love when anime and mangas do that. I love when storytelling does that. It brings it back full circle. It even just more justifies that Senku travels the world to learn all these things. So Senku's not pulling inside his ass whenever he builds trains, builds cars, builds airplanes, builds this, builds that. Senku traveled around the world to do this. That's why he needed Byakuya's credit card. And I love that Byakuya, again, was all the support for that. This is also where we learned that Zeno met Byakuya for the first time. He found out through Byakuya that Senku was his son that he'd been talking to since 10 years old, which is a really cool thing. He's like, you're the father of that kid I've been talking to all these years about ever since he messaged NASA about how to build a rocket. And even better, we even learned they even met once. Before even though they never spoke a word, they just stood side by side staring up at a rocket ship. Like Zeno's on the left, Senku's on the right, and Zeno knew who Senku was. He had recognized this kid because he knew Byakuya. And they don't say a word to each other. Senku knows that that's Zeno, Zeno knows that's Senku, and they're just like, it's like two people just standing in respect for science, the love of science, coming together for this one thing, and then they go separate ways. They never talked, they never exchanged words in person. Because, like I said, Zeno was completely different from Senku. Zeno wants to be a dictator and control the world with science, or Senku just wants to break things down and learn how it works. I think they're both grateful to each other. They're both happy to have met each other and had this exchange, but because our ideals are different, they went separate ways. But very cool panel, and that's why I chose to end this chapter. That was such a cool fucking reveal. I was just like, no, we're gonna stop there. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was one of the shorter Dr. Stone videos. Even I was surprised how short this was, but we have those mixed in here and there. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys would be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces the choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are two. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado, the Legendary Konjuis Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite. If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red will Rain Over Your House. Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Be Caged right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.